Oh, and
Hey, everybody, welcome to the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. It is Thursday night, and you literally have nothing better to do. If you did, too bad, we canceled it. You are here to hang out with us. You've made the right decision. Welcome. Today, we
are not talking about music.
For one, we managed to survive an epic, longer than the Snyder Cut length.
We're entering week 97 of the Battle of the Bands. Get ready, everybody.
Now we're just making up bands. We've gotten that far in.
Yeah, prune juice.
Prune juice. I'm big fans of prune juice, Gary. I don't know.
They're my Grateful Dead cover band.
But tonight, what we are talking about, what we're doing a panel on, because, of course, to celebrate Easter, as you must, we have to give tribute to the reason for the season for many people. And, of course, that is bunny rabbits. I don't know what that means, but we're going to do a panel about bunnies. We already did one about cats a few weeks ago. So before we get to dogs, we're skipping ahead to bunnies. We're going to get to dogs eventually, I guess. But tonight, classic bunnies of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. Believe it or not, there's more than you think. Because over the years, I have, a few years ago on revolutionsf.com, where me and Gary work, I did a yearly article about, work on classic sci-fi bunnies. And every year, the article got bigger and bigger when I would post a thing and somebody would say, but what about this one? Well, there's a bunch, and we're going to get to, let's say, all of them tonight. You know, we'll try to keep it under 3.5 hours. I'm kidding. It's going to be less than 3.5 hours. 3 hours 10. 3 hours 15.
It might be a hair under an hour.
No, Gary. We're not even 3 minutes in.
If you start ejecting Gary for every rabbit pun, it's just going to be you and me most of the night.
Indeed. Gary, how was the drab room?
So drab.
So here we go. Let's introduce our team rabbit enjoyers. Rabbit enjoyers. What is going on tonight?
That sounds really wrong.
I feel like it's wrong. So let's do this. Let's go one internet to my left. Kevin,
hi.
Who are you and why?
Hello, everyone. I am Kevin. I am a podcaster. My show is called The Flopcast, part of the ESO network, and it's just silly and goofy and nerdy and happens every week. There's the website, and that's what I do week after week, except when I'm here to discuss rabbits.
Yes. And diagonally from both myself and Kevin, my unindicted co-conspirator, Mr. Gary Mitchell. How are you?
I am doing well. I've got my fluffy tail ready to go.
As always.
Yes. And giving a shout out to our lovely viewers, the returning Madison, who you posted up there, and Lee, who joined us for all the music shenanigans and needs to let StreamYard have permission. And Kevin Cafferty, thank you. And Sherman, a group of rabbits is called a brace. He lets us know.
Rabbits. I love it. So here's the thing. Let's start out with an easy one. It's not easy at all. No bunnies are easy. Let's start out with one of my personal favorites. Let's start out with the big dog. Let's start out with Bugs Bunny. He pretty much is both a sci-fi, all three sci-fi, fantasy, and horror characters. He's all those things. He can be anything he wants. Come on, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. So, I, of course, maybe we don't talk too much about Bugs Bunny. We'd have to take up the whole hour. But Bugs, technically speaking, Bunny, we got to mention him. So, Kevin, who's on your list?
Well, there's Bugs, of course. We got to talk about Bugs for a minute, Joe. Come on. That probably arguably the top bunny in the fictional bunny game.
I gotta say,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Isn't there another Space Jam coming out?
Yeah,
supposedly.
So
everybody's facing number 2 compared to Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Bugs and Bugs has been in science fiction scenarios as we see right now, and fantasy and whatever you can think of, and yeah, just one of those great classic characters. And I think the reason why Bugs shot to the top of the Warner cartoon characters is just because he will say and do anything and can make fun of everyone and everything around him so effectively. And I think there have been so many cartoon rabbits over the years, and most of the rabbits that I was thinking of to talk about in this panel are from cartoons and comic books and stuff. And it's the visual. And to be able to be long and lanky with the ears, making you twice as tall as you were to begin with, and for Chuck Jones and Friz Freleng to start animating this character, and the ears and the legs just go flying everywhere, such an effective visual. And I think that's why rabbits have been such popular characters over the years. But yeah, Bugs is just the best.
Yeah. Well, he's clever without being cruel. I mean, get on the wrong side of him, and you know that's happened when he goes, of course, this means war.
Classic.
You know that. Classic. Yeah, you know when he whips that out, somebody is about to get a beat down.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the early ones, because it was a character that evolved, started out and wasn't fully formed out of the gate, and that the look kind of shifted and changed for the first few years through the early 40s. But a lot of the early ones, Bugs is just obnoxious and crazy, almost like a Daffy type character, harassing the hunters or whatever. But then, the later Bugs is just trying to live his life, and it is being harassed by some outside force. And then must take revenge.
Yeah,
exactly.
And he's usually, he'll start off small. He'll get a little bit of payback, or just hey, leave me alone. And then you cross that line, and the next thing you know, he's like strapping you to a rocket.
I like the one where Bugs he's just trying to take a shower in a waterfall, and the shower keeps running dry because they're building a dam further upstream.
Yes.
Bugs is just trying to get along.
To be clean. Can't you let Bugs take a freaking shower?
Yeah. I think my absolute favorite is either the one where he ends up in the bull ring.
Yeah.
With the bullfighting. And it's like, you're steaming up my tail. Or the one where he sees the bounty on rabbits is so low and he is so morally offended. And he says they become public enemy number 1, which is when he does the infamous sawing off Florida and South America. Take it away.
Nice. Oh, I forgot all about that one. There's so many. My first inclination of a favorite Bugs is to go with one of the Bugs and Daffy ones, but that's a Bugs and Daffy thing. Bugs is funny by himself too. Of course, the classic Kill the Wabbit, our introduction to classical music episode with Elmer Fudd is
What's Opera Doc?
Yeah.
And his other one, he also did from an opera, The Rabbit of Seville.
Yes.
Angela just threw that out there.
Oh, look at that, Angela.
Cranking up the barber chairs. Oh,
right there.
Look at that.
When he's doing the massage on on Elmer's scalp and using his ears.
With the and there's I forget what was on the bottle when he's pouring it on his head. Yeah. It's
Yeah. But there are so many times he is a visage isn't the right word. He's an agent of karmic revenge, karmic justice to the people he runs into.
Yeah, it's they're doing something awful, or they're just being awful, and then oh my God, here's Bugs Bunny. you you're in trouble. The one that the mobsters, when they throw him in the oven. And then there's the line when he's in the when the mobster tells him to shut up, and then he tells him to shut up, shutting up. Me and my brother drove my parents crazy quoting that thing when we were, I want to say when we were youths, but last week too.
But yeah, he's definitely the 800-pound gorilla.
He's the apex
famous
predator of the bunny, the fictional bunny universe. Let's say. So Gary, who's up next?
Yes. Well, being the horror guy, I have to throw out. I'm torn between two. And the one I'm going to throw out first, I'm going to save the other one in my back pocket because I'm sure one of you will probably mention it, but I'm whipping out Bunnicula.
Ah, yes.
The vampire rabbit that has the widow's peak in its fur. It sucks the juices out of vegetables, leaving clear vegetables in the refrigerator.
I've heard of this, and I regret that I've never seen it.
Oh, I found it through the book first.
Okay.
And just fell in love with it. Lee is on with me.
It turns out that I'm watching myself. That freaked me out. Okay. Like that hasn't happened before. But Bunnicula, the original book. The original book was we don't know. There's no evidence at all that he's a vampire. It's just the dog hates him and wants him to die.
Yes.
He's jealous of the bunny. So he comes up with reasons why, hey, look, this thing might be a vampire, but at no point in that first book, at least, to my remembrance, was there any evidence that he's a vampire at all. So either A, the dog is crazy. The dog is a conspiracy theorist, a vampire conspiracy theorist, or the bunny is just that good at hiding it.
It's very much your kid's first Kolchak. And I like Lee's comment. That book was her goth kid origin story.
Nice. Perfect. Now, I believe there was a cartoon, as I think Sherman said, he was a vampire in that.
Yeah, you were right. The first one, there was very much, though, is he, isn't it? Just the clear vegetables, like that was just weird. And I like the fact that those actually scared Mr. Schweck. Hello, Ryan. But after that, when it became a hit, they kind of leaned into it. It's a vampire rabbit.
Yeah, come on, guys. Let's be realistic. Sure, the dog can talk, and the rabbit probably could. I don't know if the rabbit could talk, but sure, the dog can investigate mysteries and try to figure out the deal with the rabbit. But a rabbit vampire, come on, that's crazy.
But I have to give the shout out to the writers, James and Deborah Howe, who came up with it back in 1979.
That was weeks ago.
Yes.
Harold.
Yeah, I mean, just as
Harold.
Yeah, but I mean, when I was a kid and I stumbled across that book, I just fell in love with it. I read it I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a delight.
Yeah. So, first up on my list, Captain Carrot from Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew. I recently reread these, and this will tie into another bunny selection later on. Look at that, Captain Carrot.
Kevin, you are always on the ball.
I'm on it,
Always
man.
on the bunny ball. Thank you. Captain
The
Carrot
bunny
and
ball will be
the-
available at next Dragon Con. Speak
Yeah,
Joe
it
for
better be.
details.
Captain Carrot was an early 80s miniseries, or it was a regular series.
Regular series.
When Roy Thomas says, you know what? I like bunnies. I'm going to do superhero comedy. So they found old-timey funny animals from the 40s and 50s and made them into superheroes. And because it's Roy Thomas who really thought hard about these things, he put them on a very specific parallel Earth, which is where you go in the DC universe. And it was all animals. And the puns were unbearable, Gary. They were unbearable. But it was 12 or 13 or maybe 15 issues of the most awful puns that I've ever slogged my way through. And that's not a complaint. I knew what I was in for. But he was a tiny little rabbit who was a cartoonist. And he ate radioactive rabbit. He did not eat radioactive rabbits. He ate radioactive carrots and became the super rabbit, the Captain Carrot. And there was he had a team of superheroes like Alley Cat Abra, which come on, that's great. Pig Iron, who was the strength guy of the team. And
what was the poodle
Yankee
Wonder
Poodle.
Woman?
Yankee Poodle, yes.
It's the Wonder Woman analog.
Yes. Yankee Poodle. There was Fastback the turtle.
Fastback the turtle. And Rubber Duck.
Yes.
Was a duck who could stretch.
Yeah, they were all variations on the Justice League, weren't they?
Yeah. And then they eventually, like halfway through the series, they met funny animal versions of the Justice League, like Super Squirrel and Wonder Wabbit. Well, that was my favorite. Wonder Wabbit.
Yes.
And why is this right at the tip of my tongue? There was I think Green Lantern was a Green Lambkin. That's what it was. Green Lantern was a sheep. Awesome.
It was so bizarre that this even happened, because DC was not really into this type of funny animal comic or even humor comics at all at this point in the early to mid 80s. So it was kind of, they were letting Roy Thomas do whatever he wanted at this time. They just wooed him over from Marvel to start working at DC, and he's doing All-Star Squadron and Arak Son of Thunder and all this action adventure.
I forgot about Arak Son of Thunder.
And and then Captain Carrot, and this was Roy and Scott Shaw. Scott Shaw worked in humor comics all through the 70s and in animation, so he was the perfect guy to draw this kind of funny animal stuff. So they were the main creators, I think, on Captain Carrot. And Roy is such a comic book continuity nut and likes to retcon and tie everything that he was looking back to in the 1940s when DC did publish a lot of funny animal humor stuff. So Roy had to, of course, work in all kinds of connections to relate.
Of course, it all tied back into actual comic stories from the 40s and 50s. Now,
that's what he did.
Lee makes a good point that there was humor in DC Comics with the Justice League International and Ambush Bug.
Yeah, that was a few years later. Yes,
that was later in the 80s.
Yep. They were also, if you do any of the behind the scenes reading, Ambush Bug especially was the redheaded stepchild of DC, because DC was definitely trying to be more serious. And then and we are telling serious stories with serious superheroes, and here's Keith Geffen and Jay off to the side going,
yeah, exactly. But
that's
and then
why
Captain Carrot has come back a few times in cameo appearances. Grant Morrison, who is certifiably insane, and that's great, has brought him back multiple times in his various crises.
The main thing I always remember is that somewhere right in the heart of the dark age of the 90s, when DC was trying to be extremely serious, they did a crossover event where the Captain Carrot and all those characters got shunted over into the main DC universe and transformed just into animals and got shunted off to a zoo, apparently to be, animals. It was very depressing.
Wow.
That's how it ended. It was a miniseries. It was like a reunion miniseries, and that's how it ended. They were actual animals. And then I think Grant Morrison. He came in and fixed it. He's like, "How dare you? That's Captain Carrot, you bastards!"
Sherman is asking about the timeline as far as Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham.
I think it was kind of around the same time.
Captain Carrot was a little ahead of Peter Porker, I believe, by a couple of years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember when Crisis on Infinite Earths came about in '85, so many letters they published. Where is Captain Carrot? What happened? Even though his book had been long canceled by then.
Yeah, because Captain Carrot would have just taken down the Anti-Monitor instantly.
Oh,
it would have been. They couldn't have stretched that out for 12 issues.
Nope. Like in all the sad universe destruction, they didn't kill off Captain Carrot. So he made it.
Yes,
I love that stuff.
But Lee, I love you forever for mentioning Ambush Bug. He's one of my top characters ever.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
And great episode of Brave and the Bold with Ambush Bug. Yeah. But Captain Carrot, he'll be back eventually. I'm positive of it. Somebody will, if he hasn't been already that I've missed. But yeah, Captain Carrot's hilarious. So next up, Kevin.
Let me see what I can bring up now. Well, we're just a few days after Easter, and I love all those goofy old Easter specials, and we watch a few of them every year. This year, we decided we have to watch Peter Cottontail.
Oh,
so
I always love when Rankin and Bass decided to go outside the Christmas comfort zone.
Yeah, so Rankin Bass did 3 Easter specials. One of them's not seen too much at all because it was the traditional cell animation, the story of the first Easter rabbit, I think it was called. But then they also did Easter Bunnies Coming to Town, and this one, Peter Cottontail, I think is the best. It's just so bizarre. That's Peter Cottontail, voiced by Casey Kasem in this cartoon. What? And Peter Cottontail is traveling through time in a hot air balloon time machine piloted by a French caterpillar who I think I'm blocking on the screen right now. There he is.
Look at that!
That's Antoine the caterpillar who steers the time machine. And they're visiting. They have to visit. They go through around the whole calendar, stopping at every other holiday because Peter Cottontail has to get rid of the Easter eggs or whatever to save Easter. And the villain in this is right there. That's Iron Tail, who has a big metal iron tail. And they went like full horror with this villain for this cartoon. Iron Tail, like he's in this dark, creepy, like a Frankenstein's castle, and he rides on a bat. He has a spider working for him. Just dark and scary and weird. I mean, look at him. And voiced by Vincent Price.
What? Wow. No way. So, I did not know any of this.
It's a freaky, bizarre, even as Rankin Bass goes, it's all freaky and bizarre, but this one even more so. Yeah, so Peter Cottontail we watch every year, and I'm not even doing justice to it in describing it. It's so bizarre. That thing, it's hard to see, I think, on the screen because the duck is blocking it, but there's a talking sentient Easter bonnet that's also along for the ride. It's right behind that duck. It's just crazy. I highly recommend, even though Easter has passed, it's not too late. It's Easter week. Matricula remembers the truth about Peter Rabbit.
Hashtag truth.
It's fantastic. Look it up. It's so crazy. And yeah, Vincent Price as Iron Tail, one of the great villains in Easter history.
That's amazing.
Well, again, it's like Rankin and Bass really cornered the market on the holidays, mainly focusing on Christmas, but it really felt like they would get wild when anytime they decided to try something outside Christmas like this, or when they did the Baby New Year with the giant ears.
And
they did a little bit of Halloween stuff. They did one Thanksgiving, the Mouse on the Mayflower one year for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Easter they did 3, and lots of Christmas, obviously. This is actually from 1971, so we should say happy 50th anniversary to Rankin Bass Peter
Maybe
Cottontail.
we have to do something with this thing. Because Kevin, there again, the last time we physically had human Dragon Con, there was a Rankin Bass expert there as a guest, and I did not know it until Dragon Con was over, or we would have had him on like 83 pounds. But,
That's right.
He would have been like, "Oh no, not classic track again!
Would you people leave me alone?
Leave me alone!
Yep.
All I want to do is talk about the reindeer." All right. So Gary, next up.
All right. Now, next up is I saw someone, I believe it was Jason Delatorre, screaming that he was promised bunnies. So I will go with a legit bunny character again here. Wonderful creation by a gentleman who's usually only recognized for his military writing. And we talked about him plenty of times about that property. And of course, I'm talking about Mr. Larry Hama, who created Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah. Yes.
Bucky O'Hare is
Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah, which is the comic book he really wanted to do. He got stuck doing G.I. Joe because he was the only guy who agreed to do it. They were looking for a writer, and they literally went through, he said, everybody in the building until they got to him, and he was the one that said yes. But this is the stuff, and that was his foot in the door. But he loves the anthropomorphic, funny animal stuff. Although Bucky O'Hare, I wouldn't call it funny animal. I would definitely call it, the anthropomorphic, but he had a little bit more of a serious. But I mean, it was just a fun little, sci-fi adventure thing.
They fought
with
toads.
A green rabbit. Yeah.
Toads were the villains. And their catchphrase, if I'm remembering and I say if, of course I'm remembering it. I watched the theme song this morning in preparation. Look, I prepared, Gary.
No, I just saw Lee's comment.
Come on, guys. Come on, Rankin Bass. Seriously.
I need the Rankin and Bass special on the invention of the dreidel.
But their catchphrase that they kept trying to make happen in the theme song was, "Let's croak us some toads." So what they were doing was they were turning the actual sound the villainous toads make into a synonym for murdering them. Mm-hmm. Good job. Not problematic at all, Bucky O'Hare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was very much a Star Wars riff. The pilot of his ship had, magic powers and was a cat person.
Sure.
And
the theme song declared that Bucky, and I quote, was the funky fresh rabbit who could take care of it. End quote. Yeah. Whatever you got going on, he can take care of it. So there you go.
Yeah, so that's my next pick for the list of great sci-fi fantasy horror rabbits.
I mean, there may be only one thing. So it was a rabbit who flew a spaceship, and there might be only one more thing more excellent than that would be a rabbit who shoots a laser gun. Bucky O'Hare did that too. Next up on my list, we've talked about this before on a previous episode, so let's get into it. Watership Down.
Oh. It's a cartoon. It'll be fine for the kids.
It'll be fine.
As I recall, Joe, you have some history with Watership Down. You have put some time and some thought into really studying Watership Down.
When I was a youth, yes, Kevin, back in the olden times when things only came on once, CBS was always running stuff like, cartoons and the Star Wars Holiday Special and everything else. And it came because I was I came across a cartoon in prime time on television, And I thought, well, hot dang, I'm in. It's whatever it is, I don't care. And I sat down with it, and it was bunny rabbits murdering each other. Boom! And there was a theme song by Garfunkel, not Simon, or not Simon and, just Garfunkel.
They just went with the full Garfunkel.
They went full 100% Garfunkel. They're like, what can we do to put this thing over the top? We already got rabbits killing each other. And then one guy in the meeting goes, what if we went full Garfunkel? And then the whole office like, oh, no, you can't. I'm like, yes, we can. But so yes, Watership Down, the cartoon, full Garfunkel. I think there's been a new version of it.
We need that as a button. Watership Down, full Garfunkel.
Full Garfunkel. We're going to have quite the collection of buttons by the time we see humans again. But full Garfunkel, ladies and gentlemen. It the whole thing.
The scene where they're trying
heroic quest story with death, and it just happens to be bunnies. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that scene where the Warren is being plowed under and they're being buried alive is legit terrifying and just lives. Like, you watch that and you can't get that out of your head as much as you try.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, as animation goes, and depending on when things come out, like there would have been a time where someone would have stopped that. Someone would have said, no, you can't put that in a cartoon. You can't do that.
Right.
And I love that they did. I love that there were things that slipped through and could be scary and horrifying.
Isn't this the same studio that did Plague Dogs? You know, the feel-good movie about dogs with disease drowning in the English Channel at the end.
I did not know anything.
I don't know Plague Dogs, man.
Oh.
So here is the poster for Watership Down. All the world will be your enemy, prince with 1,000 enemies. And when they catch you, they will kill you. But first they must catch you. That's the movie poster. With a bunny.
Mm-hmm.
With a bunny. Mercy. Terrifying.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And if you want to relive that, actually in the 80s, Bunnies and Burrows, the role-playing game, came out.
Oh, wow.
No, what?
Yes. So if you want to do, Watership Down, the home game.
Yeah, we got to get that. We got to play that. Gary, we're doing it.
Okay. As Lee says, for the kids.
For the kids. I'm going to end up being the first dead rabbit on the scene in Bunnies and Burrows. There's no way I make it out of the first round, the first 5 minutes. It's not going to happen. All right, so yeah, for 100% we're doing that. Our friend Shane, I bet he has a copy of this thing. I'm going to hit him up. He's going to mail it to me. I don't care. I will drive to Canada and get it from you, Shane. But
because we know you're watching.
Come on. What else do people have time to do in Canada?
He just spent 2 weeks in quarantine. He's got to catch up with us.
You got to catch up, man. All right. So Kevin, who's up next?
Well, I guess we want to make sure that we give some time to a very important science fiction rabbit. And we had a green science fiction Star Wars riff of a rabbit and Bucky O'Hare on the panel already. But I think we got to go Jackson, right?
Yes. Man, I'm so glad he was next on my list. He was I was not leaving this internet without talking about Jackson, the Star Wars rabbit. Mm-hmm. And speaking of earlier with Captain Carrot, there is a connection because Roy Thomas was writing the Star Wars comics when Jackson the rabbit appeared. That man loves him some cartoon rabbits.
The man loves him some green cartoon rabbits.
He loves them green cartoon rabbits.
Yes.
So
yeah, this was Star Wars #8, I think, is the image up here. So this is early in the Marvel Comics run. And I know it was hard at Marvel, the writers, because everything had to be carefully approved by Lucas, and they could not overstep the bounds of what was coming up in the movies that were going to be coming out. And so they were in a tough spot as far as moving the story along while not moving the story along because they weren't allowed to. And so they're kind of spinning their wheels. What are we going to do? How about a rabbit?
How about a rabbit? We already got a walrus man, and we already got pig dude. Surely, and Roy's
the giant walking carpet.
Yeah, Roy's like, "Is there a rabbit? Come on, somebody look! Is there a rabbit anywhere?"
I just love the fact that finally, Jackson is getting justice and getting his Star Wars Black Series action figure.
Very appropriate that we are talking about it now. When that hit the interweb, what, a week ago, a few days ago? It's crazy the amount of people Facebook me and said, "No." Well, yeah, that's my dude.
Joe, you have a reputation with this rabbit.
I mean, because every time anybody, much like the holiday special, when people are like, "Boo, Star Wars has always been serious, and I only like certain things." Like, dude, there was a talking rabbit. And
wasn't a dream sequence, wasn't an imaginary story.
And it's one of those things where I think Star Wars fans, many of them at least, were kind of embarrassed and ashamed about Jackson and kind of wanted to shove Jackson aside and say, "No, that never happened. Never mind. The Marvel Star Wars, that doesn't count." And then I think we turned a corner, as we have in many ways. With there was a time when comic book fans hated Adam West Batman.
Yeah,
and there was a time when Star Wars fans wanted nothing to do with the holiday special, and then people that loved it they'd work B. Arthur's character into the continuity and into books and stuff, And Jackson has had a whole full backstory, which has continued to evolve, I think, in Star Wars stories of one form or another over the years. Like, you reach a point where, in retrospect, oh, okay, you know what? Yeah, giant green rabbit in Star Wars. Yeah, sure, let's do it.
And let me drop some trivia on you about Jackson. The reason he is named Jackson, again, this all comes back to Roy Thomas. Bugs Bunny, who we mentioned first. Bugs Bunny, in his early cartoons, he would call everybody Jackson. "What's up, Jackson?" And that was his thing. It didn't replace "What's up, Doc?" That's not what I'm saying. I mean, he didn't know your name because he didn't care. He's Bugs Bunny. He ain't got time to learn people's names. He would just call everybody Jackson. And that's where Roy Thomas got it. So, a friend of mine, Dave Wright, has a son named Jackson. Every time that kid's birthday rolls around, I go, "So you named him after the Green Rabbit, right?" And he hates it. So, somebody, let's see here. Can't wait. There's going to be one. There better be.
Oh, yeah, please.
Kevin Cafferty.
Yeah. Hang on, this is great. That's great.
Yes, murder teddy bears. Yes, they did.
Yeah. As Sean Rosato has told us many, many times, Ewoks eat people.
Yeah. And now there's so much more Ewok content on Disney Plus as of
whether you want it or not.
Nope, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's a whole other panel, and we'll get there. We'll get there eventually.
Yes,
man. But I love that rabbit. I love that rabbit, and they can't wait. Getting that action figure. Don't care who I have to stomp on. But my favorite quote from the early issues of Star Wars is, I wish this had caught on. Jackson goes, "Blow it out your retros." And I've tried to make that happen someday. Still working on it. So, Gary, who's up next?
Yes. Well, now I'm going to go back to my other horror pick because we're halfway through this, and I can't go the evening without talking about this. I got suckered into watching this movie because, as a huge Star Trek nerd, I saw that one of my Star Trek actors was in this movie, so it had to be good. And I didn't understand the title until I started watching the movie and learned that Lepus is a word for rabbit. And the movie, of course, is Night of the Lepus, which is the part of that wonderful 70s subgenre of horror of ecological terror, where we've screwed up the environment, so mankind and his hubris must pay.
Yeah, you're right. There was so much of that in the 70s. That was
there
like
really
every
was.
horror movie in the 70s was environmental like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there was The Prophecy, which had the weird mutated bear.
Yep.
There were all kinds of, giant bugs. There were ecological horror was just a thing because the ecological movement was really just getting started. So, but yes, and DeForest Kelley, God bless him, needed a paycheck and signed on.
Shatner was doing Kingdom of the Spiders. Meanwhile, DeForest Kelley
goes up for the rabbits.
Yeah, and the female lead is Janet Leigh.
Yes.
So you would think she would have learned her lesson after taking a shower at that freaky hotel.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah,
killer rabbits.
The movie is a plethora of character actors. I mean,
okay.
It really is. I could throw names at you, but you won't know the names. So if you look up the cast list of this movie, you'll go, oh, that guy. Oh, that guy. Oh, that guy. But yeah, it's a poor farmer is being overrun with rabbits and wanting to be humane calls in the local college. That's true, Lola. To come and deal with the problem. And so they inject the rabbits with this experimental thing. And instead of killing off the rabbits, they all mutate to be giant rabbits. And oh my Lord, this movie is so bad. But it's not even so bad. It's good. It's just because you can see where they've got people they've laid down and put lettuce and things on so the rabbits will hop on them and look like they're eating. They have these
people.
horrible...
If you would just stop laying around covered in lettuce, maybe the giant killer rabbits would leave you alone.
Yeah,
that's the lesson to be learned.
Right. There are a few they fed strawberries so it looked like they had bloody mouths. They had built these wonderful little miniatures of the little trailer park people live in, and watching these rabbits obviously being goaded to hop through and knock the trailers over and everything. And I got to give the cast credit. They're trying their best to sell it.
Man.
They're really, oh my God, the giant rabbit. But I mean, even the people who made the movie knew, because the poster does not show rabbits at all. It just has this dark background with a bunch of eyes.
I have not seen this movie, and I want to see it now.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like maybe this might be a...
this might be a lock-in.
This might be a charity lock-in.
Could be.
You got to pay to get out. It might be something.
I'll once again drop my 20 and leave right at the front.
Jerry's like, no, I will not watch the giant bunnies.
Hey, look, I sat through Mac and Me for pie. It's going to have to be something better than that.
two bottles of pie.
But that is my other selection. I could not escape the evening without mentioning the giant killer rabbits.
There was one that I'm gonna mention. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do one real quick, and then we'll go to Kevin. But to continue apparently the Roy Thomas edition of tonight's production. He also, and again, did not invent this thing. He brought it back in the 80s. Hoppy the Marvel Bunny. There was a talking bunny. Yes, thank you, Kevin. A talking bunny who could say the word Shazam and turn into Captain Marvel Bunny.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to the 1940s, and Fawcett Comics was publishing Captain Marvel, and they also started a Funny Animal comic. And so it was not really related. It was just that the guy doing the Funny Animal strip said, I'm going to do Hoppy the Marvel Bunny. I'll do a funny animal version of Captain Marvel. And I don't know that they even ever crossed over with Captain Marvel back in the 40s. It was just its own totally separate humor rabbit comic based on Captain Marvel. And then, Roy Thomas in the 80s.
Yeah, it wasn't like Talkie Tawny, who was actually in the Shazam.
Right. Yeah. Mr. Talkie Tawny, the talking tiger, was in the stories. I think Hoppy was completely separate back in the Golden Age. Now, when Roy Thomas gets his hands on all his Golden Age characters at DC in the 80s and brings back Hoppy and the other...
It was like I think it was in like a Superman Shazam team-up issue.
Yeah, it was a DC Comics Presents, yes.
And the guy who saves the day at the end is Hoppy the Marvel Bunny.
Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is one of my prized possessions. Hoppy the Marvel Bunny action figure. Now,
where are his ears?
His ears are missing. He's been in storage for a while, but he's got the tiny little cape there at the end, at the back.
Oh,
I got to get me another one of these guys because
I think that's Hoppy the Marvel Groundhog. You got the wrong figure there.
The power of Shazam compels you.
That's great. And then this other image back here, that's the Jerry Ordway Shazam series from the 90s. And he brought Hoppy back for that series as well. So I love that cover.
Yeah.
Just great.
So, Hoppy the Marvel Bunny. So I'm glad I got him in. Now, Kevin, who's next for you?
Well, I guess on a related note, since I definitely wanted to make sure we talked about Hoppy as well, but just super quick, let me pull up a related image, because when Alan Moore in the late 90s and 2000s, when he did Tom Strong, which was kind of his riff on a Superman or Doc Savage type adventure character, and he had parallel versions of Tom Strong, the superhero, from different dimensions, different worlds. And because of Hoppy, he wanted to do a riff on that. And so we got Warren Strong, the rabbit version of Tom Strong.
I did not know this. I'm so happy.
Yeah, Tom Strong is a great series. The whole series is just fantastic. And it's just drenched in celebrating comic book history, Golden Age, Silver Age stuff.
I'm so happy. That's great.
There were several issues where Warren Strong, the Tom Strong rabbit, makes an appearance. So just kind of a riff on Hoppy. Super fun.
Amazing. I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should touch on real quick. I'm going to go out and say this is the scariest bunny from pop culture that I was able to come across. Absolutely terrifying and horrifying and wrong. And that's the ice cream bunny.
Yes.
Oh.
Let me say,
horror.
On either YouTube or on the Tubi app, I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm gonna say Tubi. The actual non-riff tracks movie is on there, and I meant to attempt to watch it, and I did not. So I apologize in advance, but man, I can't wait. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna. You know what? I'll live watch it somewhere. But this thing is amazing.
It's remarkably awful. The movie, I don't know if we've said the full title. It's Santa Claus and the Ice Cream Bunny, I believe is the official name of the movie. It's from the early 70s, 1972. And it was just shot at a ramshackle, rundown amusement park in Florida, I think. And they had previously produced a fairy tale short film. There were two of them, actually, that the same people had produced Thumbelina and Jack and the Beanstalk. And so when they wanted to make a full-length movie, they shot some horrifying footage with Santa Claus and this bunny, and then they just spliced in. It's like, now Santa will tell you a story. And then half the movie, or more than half the movie, is just Jack and the Beanstalk. They just cut to a whole separate story just to make it movie length. Or in some prints, it's Thumbelina. There's two different versions. I think Riff Tracks has done both versions,
of course,
at one point or another. But the movie is just Santa Claus. His sleigh is stuck on the beach, and he can't get it to move. So he's just sitting there moaning, "Oh, I'm stuck on the beach," for the whole movie. They just keep cutting back to Santa on the beach. And the conclusion is the ice cream bunny rides a fire engine to the beach to rescue Santa. That's the movie. So I can only guess that they had this horrifying rabbit suit laying around at the amusement park. It was probably an Easter Bunny character, but they didn't want to call it the Easter Bunny because they were trying to make a Christmas movie, I guess. And so somebody invented the ice cream. Look at that thing. How terrifying is that?
It is.
And also, I have no memory of this, but I believe I saw this movie when I was a little kid in a movie theater.
I for real saw it.
I don't remember seeing it, but my mother for years would tell me, she said, I took you kids to this awful Christmas movie. They used to make these cheap Christmas movies, and she remembers taking us and suffering through a movie where Santa Claus is just laying on a beach. And then years later, when I went to see the Riff Tracks live version of this, and I said, oh, this is it. This is the movie I've been hearing about my whole life. It's Santa on a beach.
I told my kiddo about this, and she did not believe me. And then I put it up on the YouTubes. And the Riff Tracks guys also did a song. And it's great. And I've put it on my Christmas mixtape many times. But Kevin, can you recreate for us the dialogue of the Ice Cream Bunny?
I don't think I can. I must have mentally blocked this out. I don't remember what the Ice Cream Bunny actually said or did, other than just driving that fire truck.
I'm gonna at least in the chorus of the song, the Ice Cream Bunny would just go "Hurr, hurr, hurr." And that's it.
Which we know is what the sound all rabbits make.
Here
Very accurate rabbit noise.
And that's actually in the movie. It's terrifying. But yeah, hang on, Kyle, right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, I was thinking about in general, because we've seen so many cute, funny cartoon bunnies and scary bunnies, and I think even more so than most other animals, there's such a fine line in the face of a rabbit between cute and creepy.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like, as I said, they kind of did it in Night of Lepus, but if you go look, you can find on images of rabbits eating like raspberries or any red fruit, and it just looks like this maw of death.
But speaking of maws of death, Gary.
Well, since we're running out of time, yes, wonderful transition. We're running short of time. I want to throw two runner-ups. One, the lovely Miss Judy Hopps from Zootopia.
Sure.
Who is a wonderful character.
Yeah.
And the second, Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Yep.
Nice.
I love Wallace and Gromit. I love Wallace and Gromit
there he is.
To pieces, and there's the Were-Rabbit. But I know people will riot because this is the classic track. They will riot if we do not mention Frank the Bunny from Donnie Darko.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I mean,
speaking
the very
of creepy.
Yeah.
How do you get scarier and creepier than that rabbit mask?
No.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the very first image someone posted when we announced we were doing this panel was a GIF of Frank.
Nice.
Why are you wearing that stupid human suit?
Man, classic. That movie is very, I mean, on the outset, if you hear, hey, it's a horror movie with a guy in a rabbit suit, it's really good sci-fi stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's, except for, I mean, despite the guy in a rabbit suit, it's scary and science fiction-y all at once.
Yeah, I mean, it's got wonderful performances. It's got a very mind-bendy plot. Patrick Swayze is Swayze, isn't it?
Swayze.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, great cast. And then, again, that whole... I love the fact that it's never explained. It's just, why is there a guy following you around in a rabbit suit? Why is he counting down to the end of the world?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor, though, if you've never watched it. Don't watch the director's cut. They try to explain stuff, and it just makes the movie worse.
Yeah.
No, so just watch the original theatrical.
A few times on these quarantine panels, we've said release the whatever cut that we're talking about. Maybe don't.
Yeah, hide the director's cut.
Hide the director's cut of Donnie Darko.
Yeah, and it's such a tragedy. They never made a sequel. I
don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. What? As far as I'm concerned, I've never heard of such a thing.
It's like some people heard of Donnie Darko and wanted to make their own version of it, but they didn't actually watch it. They just saw a few stills.
Yeah. Now, let's see. Kyle here in the comments mentions a sitcom, a short-lived Greg the Bunny.
Yeah.
Very funny stuff. It was a Greg the Bunny, and it was puppets. And Greg was a puppet, and they treated them as if it was a world where puppets just walked amongst us like humans and alongside humans. And it had terrific comedy actors in it.
Seth Green was Greg's roommate.
Yes, and if memory serves me correctly, Greg the Bunny's ex-wife is Mary Lou Henner.
Yeah,
that's herself. And there's an episode where his ex-wife comes back, and it's Mary Lou Henner, not Mary Lou Henner playing someone. It's Mary Lou Henner, to my knowledge. But very funny show. Only had probably 6 episodes.
6 to 8 episodes. It was one of the Friday night Fox victims.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But good stuff.
Yeah, I was actually talking about that with Jessa. She was like, "How had I never heard of this?" I'm like,
because it was only on like 6 times.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention, you mentioned Bunnies and Burrows, which I had completely forgotten, but another role-playing game around that same time period was Gamma World.
Oh, yes.
And they had bunnies, of course they did, because Gamma World was a post-apocalypse nuclear future where the animals and the vegetables and the trees had come to life, and there were rabbits with guns, and those rabbits were called Hoops. And I mentioned him earlier, our friend Shane Ivey, many times said one of his dream projects that he just never got to do was a Gamma World module. He's the owner and creator, one of the creators at Arc Dream Games, who runs the Delta Green and that kind of Delta Green games, and Wild Talents, that kind of thing. But what he always has wanted to do was a Gamma World module where it's Gamma World and Watership Down, and with hoops, and he was going to call it Apocalypse Down.
Ooh.
And one of these days, Shane, it's going to happen. It's got to happen. I'm putting it out into the universe.
All right. Amy, Split, I love you forever for being one of the only other people who remembers the role-playing game Macho Women with Guns, one of my personal favorites.
Amy!
And
hey.
Yes, the Fluffy Bunnies were one of the antagonist creatures.
That is crazy. I did not remember that at
Macho
all.
Women with Guns is one of the most hysterical, satirical, wildest RPGs out there. It was Macho Women with Guns, the sequel Renegade Nuns on Wheels, and the final part of the trilogy, Bat-Winged Bimbos from Hell.
Do you have those, Gary?
I have first and second edition. Thank you.
Nice.
That's great.
There are jewels in my crown.
Man, those jewels.
Mm-hmm. I got to run the game at a convention once. It ended with a pun. They practically threw me out of the room. It was mwah. If we had more time, I'd tell the tale. But
well, we're doing it. We'll adjourn that, and we'll tell that at a later date. That's amazing. There was puns, a game called Macho Women with Guns. Gary, I'm picturing you just glowing and levitating up to the ceiling.
Yeah.
This is the greatest thing. I can't wait. That's amazing. Who's up for a play test? Yeah, we got to do this.
Oh,
we got
yes.
Macho Women with Guns. We're doing it. So many fun things. Is there anyone we've gone through and not mentioned?
Usagi Yojimbo.
Yes.
Oh, dang.
Stan Sakai.
Stan Sakai, back
Lay it out, Kevin.
in the glory days of independent comics, around the time of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, this was a samurai epic that just happened to have a rabbit in it. That was it.
Just a master cartoonist. It's really considered one of the great works in comics, and over the decades, he's still doing it today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, an amazing body of work.
And he, I remember, because the only place we could buy comics was at a dusty, gross comic book store in deep downtown Birmingham, Alabama. And of course, they had the indie comics there, which is where I found Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And when Usagi, am I saying that wrong? Probably. When he
Hey,
appeared,
Parnell, we were calling you.
he appeared on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. And
Yes.
I believe there was a Yojimbo, an action figure also. And
Yes.
I thought, man, I knew about him years ago. You little jerks. I'm old school Usagi Yojimbo. But,
And Sherman, the answer to that question is both.
yeah. Oh, always good stuff. All the and Sam and Max.
Oh.
Freelance Police, right there.
Oh yeah.
Another indie comic that ended up
they
in a cartoon series.
Yeah. I got the comics when they came out in the late '80s, whenever that was, and it was so funny. And yeah, then it just kind of, I didn't know whatever happened, and then suddenly there were cartoons and video games that were massive.
Mm-hmm.
But that original comic series, really funny.
Yeah,
I remember
the video games are masterworks.
Are they really? Cool.
Oh yeah, of the original point and click style adventures, they were top of the game.
I remember the one thing, I don't know why this stuck with me, but now that you say it, I remember about the Sam and Max comic book. Max or Sam are watching TV, and the other one walks in and says, "Hey, are you watching the Flintstones?" And the other one goes, "No, it's the colorized version of Citizen Kane." And that struck me as the funniest thing, and to this day, I can't think of anything else when I see Citizen Kane. Now it's Fred Flintstone. I absolutely love it. But I think we could continue. There's tons more. Oh, you know what? I was gonna for sure. This one isn't yet in the sci-fi classic realm. There is a TV show that I believe just ended on the Sci-Fi Channel, just completed its 5-year run, called The Magicians. And me and the fam are binge watching it right now. And you know how in Harry Potter they have owls, owls are like the mailmen. They transfer messages. In The Magicians, it's bunnies. And some of the funniest stuff, because it's not, they don't do anything to the bunnies. These are just actual bunnies. And they teleport from dimension to dimension carrying verbal messages. So they talk, but only in like bursts. And when one of the characters is pregnant, okay, look, right there, one of the characters is pregnant. And a bunny reveals that news, and the bunny, they're holding the bunny, and the bunny just goes, "Pregnant," over and over again. Pregnant. What was that? Pregnant. And then a couple of seasons later, when one of the good guys is in trouble, she sends a message to somebody, her buddies in another dimension, and she goes, "Need help?" And then they go, "What? Who could have sent this?" And then she sends a second bunny that says, "Now, dickwads." But it's the bunny saying, "Now, dickwads." So great. Highly recommended. Watch The Magicians. Guys, for now, I think we've covered the sci-fi, fantasy, and horror bunny situation. Again, the bunny suit from A Christmas Story. Kevin,
had to end this somehow. So there you go.
Kevin, Gary, I'm so glad we got together to talk about bunnies and spend 2.5 hours on the oeuvre of Roy Thomas, apparently. But bunnies, love them. There's so much, and I bet there's lots of people watching this now are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know there were so many bunny things in sci-fi fantasy.
And that was a tiny sampling as well.
Tiny sampling.
It's either that or there are lots of people screaming, but you didn't mention.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Put
those rabbits we missed in the comments. But I'm hoping that the comments are down here. Oh look, I'm Hoppy.
They're somewhere.
Hoppy.
We missed a lot. I've got a list, and we did not get even too deep into that list.
We didn't even scratch the surface. And let me say, scratching the surface of a bunny is very satisfying.
Very dangerous, but
also
ultimately
dangerous.
Very satisfying. Yes.
Speaking of dangerous, and we didn't even mention the Monty Python bunny.
That's
right. God,
man, what the heck?
What about this guy?
Roger, what? See, look. So yeah, we're gonna have to again, we're gonna try to do less than 2.5 hours on bunnies. We may have to do a bunnies part 2. We did 4 episodes on fictional bands. We'll do bunnies. We'll do more bunnies. Don't tempt us. Don't dare us not to. Because as we have proven, we'll do it. Guys, thank you for spending another Thursday evening with us. We will be back next Thursday. Gary, what do we have on tap?
Next week, we will be back with the 30th anniversary celebration of Terminator 2.
See?
Nice. And
that will happen in our future.
Yes. Which is where we will spend the rest of our lives.
Pregnant.
The Guns N' Roses song is already cranking now in my brain. I'm ready for Terminator 2.
Yes.
So much fun. So we will see you to do that next week. But in between now and then, Kevin, tell people where you can be found.
Yeah, well, it's, right there, flopcast.net. My podcast is the Flopcast. It's just silly and goofy, and we do it every single week. So find us there. If you like the kind of silly nostalgia stuff that we do here on the Classics Track, please do check out the Flopcast. And yeah, that's me.
You've just done a multi-episode series on failed spin-offs from the Facts of Life.
Oh, this is our project for the year. About once a month we are dedicating an episode to a failed Facts of Life backdoor pilot episode.
And wasn't the Facts of Life itself up a spin-off?
Yes.
Yeah, Facts of Life started as a backdoor pilot from spinning out of different strokes. But then over the run of Facts of Life, they attempted several backdoor pilot episodes, and we are about once a month we are covering a different Facts of Life backdoor pilot. It's a little project we're calling the Backs of Life.
Oh. I'm looking forward to the George Clooney episode.
Surely.
That's coming.
It's coming. So, Gary, where can you be found if people want to find you? Which they should.
Right here every Thursday. You can find me here on the Twitter. And like I said, and with that guy every week right here, you found me. So yeah, and on our Facebook group. What, Joe? We have a Facebook group, right?
Well, yes, we do, Gary. And that Facebook group is facebook.com/groups/American Sci-Fi Classics. Join us now. Come to our YouTubes, which some of you are watching us on right now. Like it, subscribe it. We got to get those rookie numbers up, man. Yeah. Again, thank you guys very much for spending some time with us. Everybody out there, be safe. We love you. We will see you very, very soon. And we will see you next week when Gary Mitchell will say,
"You never go full Garfunkel."
It's true. You don't. Kevin, Gary, thank you. Everybody in the comments, thank you very much. We will see you soon.